We're going to just get started if you guys are ready. Claudia, Vered?
Yes. We are ready, of course.
As ready as we can be.
All right. Well then, welcome to the Beyond Sessions, a live interactive conversation designed to showcase Pantarei Approach insights in real-world situations. I'm Megan Lilick, a graduate of the Pantarei Approach School, and today I'll be speaking with the co-directors and co-founders Claudia Glowik and Vered Manasse. So Claudia's in Berlin right now at the Pantarei office, and Vered, you are in Jerusalem. I'm also in Berlin, but that's okay. We're in 2022. We can plug in wherever we are in the world and still connect. And yeah, so today I've got some topics I'm hoping we'll cover, but in true Pantarei fashion, anything and everything can come up. So we'll go with the flow and spend about 30 minutes tapping into the resources, energy, and strengths of our interviewees, and we'll even try to cover some of your questions at the end. So feel free to add these questions or comments in the chat box throughout the event, and we'll circle back to them at that allotted time for the audience Q&A. And yeah, so without further ado, let's begin. You might have a quick sip. Yeah, so first off, thank you both for joining us today, Claudia and Vered, for our first Beyond Sessions conversation. This is first ever kickoff. We're excited to do this. And I'd like to do, very excited. We're really trying to build a bigger, wider global community. And this is just one tactic in doing so. So let's see how it goes. Again, going with the flow. And yeah, I'd like to just start out by helping our listeners, particularly those who aren't familiar with the school, to understand the fundamentals of Pantarei Approach. So if you had to describe the approach in, say, 3 sentences and why you've developed it, how would you do that?
So maybe I will start. Hi, everyone from Jerusalem this time. The Pantarei Approach, I would say, for us is a way to harness people's inner wisdom. I believe, or we believe, that each one of us has all the resources we ever need to know the right answers for our own life. And this body-based modality that we developed and still developing comes to truly give people the connections to themselves, to their past, to their history, to situations that happened in their life, to the life circumstances they have right now, and to the desired future they would like to create for themselves. This is a Pantarei Approach. You said 3 sentences. I will try my best to not say way more, but this is what we are talking about. We are talking about a modality, about a training program, about a profession, but also about a way of life, about a philosophy, and something that allows us to live our life to the fullest in every situation, in every moment of our life.
So here you know already a little bit about us. This is Claudia from Berlin, in Berlin right now. And if you give us 3 sentences, probably we will extend it for 6 at least. And if you are 2 founders of an approach, we have anyway already double in the take on what the Pantarei is, and let's say how or why we came to create it. I think Vered and me together, we will have over 50 years of experience in working with clients, in giving workshops, in leading a Somatic school together. And when we put our heads together after looking truly in what do we actually teach our students, what do we do with our clients, after many years, we were very surprised to discover again and again and again that actually what we give to people is their own inner wisdom back. We believe that the answers to any struggle, problem, often the client knows and lies within themselves. And with the Pantarei Approach, we designed a modality that connects people back to these kind of answers, that uses for it verbal communication and touch, so that the connection that is made with ourselves is one that takes place on a whole experience. So these would be my words on my 3 sentences on describing the Pantarei approach.
And I can always say it's 3 sentences in German. It's always way, way longer. So we are already in a better situation. And for your question of why we created it or what brought us to create the Pantarei approach, I would say at the time, it was 2016, we were practicing another modality, another method, somatic method. And we started to realize that our own take on what would make people truly change is different than what we were teaching. And we really wanted to take the teaching from focusing on pain and fear and problems towards focusing on strengths, qualities, abilities, seeing the vision of each person, seeing the uniqueness, who they are, their own values. And this is how the Pantarei approach started to develop into what it is today, and I'm sure it will just continue to develop to the future.
Definitely. Plenty evolved in these 5 years. And yeah, let's see where it goes. So thank you both. I think we kept it at least to 3 minutes. So that works. So yeah, on to the next question. There's been huge publications like Forbes who have dubbed 2022 the year you should hire a coach. As an athlete myself, the idea of a coach appeals to me, but I know not everyone will feel as familiar with it. However, particularly in the past few years, we've had to reckon with the need to navigate a sea of change. From the push for sustainability to post-pandemic career pivots to feeling bombarded by negative news cycles, how can life coaching help individuals in this era of unprecedented opportunities?
So this time I'm going to start and take my take on it.
You don't need 3 sentences either. Take your time.
We are freed of the 3 sentences. That's already a relief. Maybe we will talk slower by now, or I will manage to talk slower as if this would help. But like you said before, Megan, yes, we are living in challenging times. Like we are faced a pandemic, there is war in Europe, there is global warming, and beside all of the, you can say, worldly crises that will touch any person's life, there are then, of course, also our individual struggles that we face from the daily lives that we are struggling with. So I would even wonder or extend this kind of question to what can we help into, why not use sessions and coaching all the time? Why should be 2022 the year for taking on sessions, while with this amount of, you can say, challenges in a normal person's life, we all could use support, we all could benefit from being strengthened in who we are, in having a direction, in, yes, receiving some, you can say, guidance or directions on how to digest, live better with what we are faced. And I can, on that sense, just say that we manage as humans to kind of do incredible things, and we are also well equipped, at least most of us, to manage things on our own, but actually to add another person to our struggles can just support, can just help, can just add, and often maybe bring us closer to solutions that we didn't see so much, to answers that were not so obvious. If I'm meeting my clients in the practice and I'm looking at them, I have a very different point of view than if I would look at myself. I'm coming from the outside. I can perceive things of the person that they themselves would consider normal. I can see even in things that they dislike or criticize themselves in strength. I can have an, how you say, unprecedented, or I'm not coming, I'm coming free of, how you say that always?
Biased or?
Yes, I'm not biased. Like, I see the person for who they are. Like, with all due respect, we don't see ourselves for who we are. And if meeting a person in this context, you can already hear that it can add to any kind of struggle I'm facing, to any kind of movement or change I need to implement and simply add to our lives. And therefore, I would be strongly recommend to enlarge the year of coaching to a decade, if not at all. Make it as normal as going to the hairdresser or doing other things that we know will do us good. And in this time, it will not only do us good, but also others around, but we will come to that later.
Well, I think we're coming to that actually right now in the third question, talking about the purpose and bigger mission of the Pantarei Approach, which is...
Maybe give me just to add something to Claudia before we move to the next sentence. You have both of us.
Go for it. Sorry.
No problem. I'll just add a few things to what Claudia said, which I really liked and agree, of course, with all. I think, all of these difficult things we are all facing in recent years on global scale is a great reminder for us that we have very little control, or we have some control, but not all control about life. And if we manage really to focus on ourselves, where we do have control of how we respond to things, of what we are doing, of what we want, I think we already take a lot of this agency back to our own hands. And if I think about it, I would say if there is any investment that I would say it's always worthwhile to invest, is always in us. So if I know better how to deal with my emotions, I will know better how to handle situations in life. If I know better how to understand my own thoughts, to create clarity, to organize my thoughts, I would manage to do more things in my life. If I manage to understand my past or my life, there is so much in that will give us the tools to deal with any situations life throw on us. And as we already know, life will probably continue to throw on us unexpected things that we will need to manage. So on that level, yes, I do believe that going to a Pantarei practitioner session is not a privilege. It's can consider as such, but in fact, it's something that would really give us the tools and equip us with all that we need in order to live our life. So very, very well recommended to find our own way, whether it's through Pantarei or any other ways, to truly take care of ourselves, to deal with whatever situation we have to deal with.
Thank you. Yeah, and then as we're helping ourselves, we're helping others in the world at large, which is very much the Pantarei Approach mission and bigger purpose. And the more people who know about it, the better. And so I was curious, in your words, obviously, what sets Pantarei apart from other life coach and somatic philosophies, and how can the approach support these big issues of our time? So even across cultural, geographical, and generational boundaries.
Who will start here, you or me?
Start.
Let's start with the bigger, let's say, picture, and how we see our vision is part of having the world find better growth, change in the right direction. I believe the world today needs more compassion and connection in order, you can say, to heal and to grow. We say that the Pantarei approach comes from Pantarei, it's an ancient Greek word that means everything flows, and the Greek philosopher Heraclitus built a whole philosophy on it of no man steps into the same river twice, because it will not be the same man nor the same river. And yes, we are very much in line with everything flows and moves. But in the same time, for me, I think for us, this saying also means that everything is connected. We are talking here about a man, we are talking about the river, they both change. And in this world, yes, we are part of this world. We are part of something bigger. So if I look at a Pantarei session and what happens in every session, we already mentioned before, we wish to connect the person to themselves, to their inner wisdom, to their answers. And whenever this process takes place, it is unavoidable that by noticing more of who we are, we actually become also more aware of who is the other people who live around me, whom am I connected with. I'm not here alone in this world, but I am part of. The more I am getting to know myself, like Vered very much said, it's a worthwhile investment to get to know ourselves, understanding that we are unique, that we are individuals on our own, that you cannot compare my answers, my way of life with somebody else. I can only be who I am. And this is what I'm thriving to. It gives already a different perspective on who is the person next to me. I can then look at another person with the same curiosity and the same understanding. This there is not my role model that I need to envy, or this is also not the person that I need to now kind of struggle with. I can be curious, I can start to get to know and to see the other person for who they are and take out the ambition and the comparison that follows us so much through society and often doesn't allow us to connect and to come together. So this would be a starting point with other people, but it doesn't stop there. Like, we are connected to ourselves, we can also connect again to the world, to notice, yes, I am part of that. I can develop my human compassion skills far, far more. If I'm realizing that, my actions, my movements, all will lead in building, you can say, a world, a society that will lead into a future that we can have together and in which we would wish to live together and to flourish. So how the Pantarei is good for the world, every single session, even though we work with one person, is for me knowing, it's one step closer for compassion, connection, and by trusting in these human abilities that brought us so far, hopefully we can make the changes that are needed, that will bring us still further in human strength and development.
Like, just to add to this beautiful vision that Claudia shared with us, I would say the Pantarei does connect body or touch into verbal communication. And we are really great believers in the experience that when something is really shift is when we embody it, when we feel it, when we go through the experience. And this is what you would get in sessions, but also in any other activities of the Pantarei Approach. You will always be connected to your own experience. And as Claudia said, and I would maybe just add one more sentence, if we all truly feel our own uniqueness and we encourage other people to feel their uniqueness, we would live in such a beautiful universe with so much collaboration, with so much creativity, with so many possibilities. And this is where we aspire to go with everything we do with this approach.
Well, it's a good aspiration, I must say. And Vered, this next question is actually for you, because you've talked before about how our pasts are treasures that, if not ignored, can empower people to define an authentic path for a life they wish to live. And you even specialize in trauma. So why do you think it's so important in today's world?
First of all, I would say trauma shapes us. And unfortunately, quite often it shapes us not into the relevant direction. And I think that it's really important to look at that. And it's important to deal with whatever happened in our life as individual, first of all, also in bigger scales, but let's keep it on the personal direction. If each of us would truly digest what happened in our life and look at whatever it is and would allow the emotions to go through them, we will not need to continue that direction, and we will really be able to shape our future the way we want. But more than that, I think what I said now is kind of the obvious but important to be said. I feel that, you know, our difficulties, which includes our traumatic events in our past, are often the places where some of our strengths comes to the surface, things that we would never ever imagine that we are capable of. Suddenly, after something like that, we realize, wow, I still lived my life. I still believe in an optimistic vision about life, even though this is what happened. And I would really like to connect to people to who they are, even if they deal with trauma, to remind them of their strengths, to remind them of how great and how strong they are. And in a way, you know, Leonard Cohen talked about how the crack, I always like the lights come through the cracks. The cracks are always there. And this is where our lights comes from. And yeah, I would rather that our cracks would not happen because of traumas, but we cannot change our history. We can just decide what we are doing with what happened, and we can decide to shape and to find the way of how we are reaching to that light. And I think that when a person is truly doing that process of transformation from dealing with trauma to dealing with themselves, they gain so much of themselves. They become people that are so empathic and strong and sensitive. And there is something truly beautiful in that process. And I am always touched and moved to to accompany a person when they are dealing with whatever happened in their history.
I really liked what you said about finding your way or finding their way to reach for the light, because again, it's their way. And it's very much the Panterai way as well. So beautiful. Thank you. Claudia, this one's for you, because your background in both somatic bodywork and, interestingly enough, as a stones mason at a graveyard, have given you extensive experience when it comes to thinking about grief, death, and mortality. And as I'm getting a bit older myself now, I find with speaking with my friends, we're like, oh, why are we aching? I just put on my sweater. Like things like, we're too young for this. I just went for a walk around the pond. Why? Yeah, does my back hurt? Or things like that. And I'm just wondering how the Panterai can help support this whole holistic mind-body health.
You will always see me smiling when people start with their physical conditions and say, I'm too young for that one, for back pain, for this kind of cracks and aches, because there we would always say, yeah, we are too young for that, or too old, or too young for that one. And then when it would come, at least in Germany, you have these sayings, if people have emotional outbursts or something, it would be, how old are you? You're still a kid. So there are apparently no age that either saves us from physical conditions nor from emotional roller coasters. And if I come back to your question, where you ask how we look at the whole, you can say, body-mind connection. Yes, the Pantarei approach is a somatic approach, which means we definitely look at the person as one, as whole, which means, yes, their emotions and the way how they experience themselves, the way how they are able to think, it's all not disconnected. It's all part of who I am, every aspect of myself. So if a person or a client would come and approach me now and says, I'm suffering from a physical condition, I have back pain, I have headaches, yes, I wouldn't start to look at the person in order to fix their back. I would be staying true to the approach and inquiring who is this person who comes with the back pain. Let's go with this example. And what kind of qualities do they bring? Which kind of strengths do they have? How do they suffer from it? What does the person already know about their pain that could help them, that could relieve them, that is a cause of them, that would be needed in order to recover? So I'm not fixing backs, but I'm coming back looking at the person at a whole and asking the person for their, again, wisdom in regard to their problem and getting to know them better, and on the way to that, hopefully finding answers or ways how to reduce their pains or how to change conditions in regard. I'm always surprised if people get the space to feel heard and to be listened to, and that somebody else gives them the confidence that it is actually important what they have to say or to think about, that even when it would come to physical pains, they could tell me, yeah, if I would just know how to handle my anxiety better, I would also have a key to my back pain. Or if my relationship would be in a different place, I would feel freer in this and this aspect, and I can already connect that also to freer movements with my back. If I am opening the space, and now again, not looking for a recipe, because there we are all different, but looking for the answers the person has for themselves, that are often not only limited to now I need more physiotherapy or I need to strengthen my muscles, but it might be I need to change my set of mind on how I think about myself, or I, again, want to improve communication skills, and this will free my back. So for me, I think for us in the approach, people are one. They are not separate pieces, but in best case, my emotions, my way of thinking, my way of being, body, mind, soul are in synchronization with each other. And as a practitioner, I can listen, where are the dissonances? Where do the person maybe needs a hand to connect again between where are the answers here to be found within the person to, yes, also get better with their back pain, but in the way or by the way, come closer to themselves, connect more with themselves, and then also with the world and changing the world.
Thank you. Thank you both. I actually have one last question before we open this up to the audience. And that's because I know you're both working on a book. And so in addition to teaching and welcoming applicants to the next class, which by the way, starts in September, so just in a few months' time. So if you're interested, please do reach out and we can answer any questions you have, or just sign up. I can't recommend it enough. And putting your heads together on this book, I'm just curious, what sorts of topics will be covered in it, and when can we expect to see it on the shelves?
So I'll answer. I'll start maybe with the when. It's a mystery. I cannot really yet say. I hope maybe through this year, 2022, or next year, 2023. A book is a journey. I didn't think about it when we started about it in this way, but it really becomes a journey of exploration. Usually we teach hands-on, and to translate the experience and translate what happens in the training program, which, like you said, and we really hear the feedbacks of how amazing the transformation is in the modules we are teaching again and again, and we see it and we are witnessing that, and we are always in kind of, oh wow, that's so great, and way more than great. I just don't have right now the words in English, but we really would like to manage to write that in a book, that if somebody doesn't want to become a practitioner, they don't want to come to learn with us all the 6 modules, 5 days each module, they don't have the time, or they, for whatever reason, we would like to give some of what happens in class through that book. So this is what this book is going to be about. It will have theory, it will have clients' cases, it will have exercises. The first draft, it's already written, but it's still doesn't mean that it's just ready. So it's in the process, and at least for us, it's a very interesting process to write it, and hopefully it will be very interesting for you to read it when it will be out there.
Well, major props on first draft. I think that's the hardest part, is just getting it all out, and then you can hone it and get it to flow. Well, very exciting. I would love to open this up to the audience. If anybody has any specific questions for Claudia, Vered, or both, feel free to unmic yourself, or if you prefer the chat box, we'll leave this time.
I have a question. One of the things that fascinates me a lot about Pantarei Approach is the inherent creativity and exploration element in it. No session is the same. There's no set template to follow. And of course, since I'm studying, I've seen you in action quite a bit, but I would still love to get your take on this. How does it make you feel, and how does it work for the clients? And yeah, anything else that comes to your mind about that?
Yeah, it's a favorite question. We always love to answer this one in any variation that it comes to us. Like Balaj said, the Pantarei approach is not only unique in the way we look at our clients, but it's also unique in how we practice it. Each one of us is different, and therefore no one session can look like another. We love the fact that we are 2 co-founders, and one of the reasons that we love it is that it's exactly give that impact that you so beautifully described. We are very different women, and we have a different kind of life, and also when we give a session, it's never the same. And by doing that, by really in finding our own way to give a session, even if we are following the same concept of the Pantarei approach, we know that we open the space for any other practitioner to do exactly the same, to find their own way, their own language, their own way to communicate. I would say, just like all of us have the language, but each one of us talk in a different way, same happens in sessions. All of us should have the language, but we should communicate to our clients differently according to ourselves and according to our clients.
And I think the beauty of each session is, yes, truly that not one is the same, and that it is a combination between who is the client and what does the client communicate, needs, and who is the practitioner that communicates back, and together they're entering into this beautiful dance of having now a very intimate 1.5 hours where they steer towards the goals that the client wishes to achieve, but as 2 really unique dancing partners that in their combination will always create only this unique combination. Just they are dancing, but in their unique style. And then if you look at every person is unique, you just have so many millions and millions of creative ways and options how to live our lives, how to tackle an issue, how to laugh about something, how to laugh. And then you add already another person to the mixture, you have, boom, another explosion of creativity, options. And yes, you find all of this in the Pantarei, in the approach. And I always feel that one way that allows us to tap into all of these beautiful colors is our ability to feel each other, is our ability to connect with each other, is this really human superpower of empathy, of noticing, of feeling beyond. And then I can, yes, notice a person with everything they are, adding my parts, and have these beautiful combinations that uniquely lead to who they are, because this is the purpose there. But at the key, I think what is our common language here, or what glues it all together, is our ability as humans to feel and to be compassionate. And this is what we teach as a tool also in the touch and in the communication to you as the students, and also to the clients to tap in back.
Thank you.
Do we have any other takers? Otherwise, you by all means could always send your questions through our social media channels or email. I was going to say, I know there's some alumni and students, as you mentioned just there, are, if you're interested in being interviewed, this again was the kickoff with the co-founders and co-directors, but we were looking to actually open this up to interview the community and beyond. So if you are, do write connect@learnpanterai.com, and yeah, we'll get you on the books. And I just wanted to thank everyone again for joining this first session, first Beyond session Q&A, and hope you enjoyed it, are feeling invigorated, energized, and ready to incorporate these tidbits of wisdom into your daily life. And if we weren't able to answer things like, as I mentioned, just write us on socials or email. And if you're not already, follow us on our LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, to stay in the know on everything going on in the Panterai world. So thank you again, and until next time.
Thank you, Megan. It was a pleasure to be interviewed by you. We are definitely ready for a second one.
We'll schedule you in.
Thank you very much. And for everybody who was here on our first exploration session, it definitely was a lot of fun.
Absolutely.